Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Palo Alto, where we come to transform ourselves, each other, and the world. It's so good to see you this morning. I'm Amy Zucker Morgenstern. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I welcome you from wherever you are, whether this is your first time or whether you have been a part of this church since long before we went online. Let's take a moment now to turn on our audio so that we can hear each other say good morning and hello. Unmute yourselves, please, and let's take a moment.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Good morning.
Everybody.
Hello.
Morning.
Morning.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
You can follow the order of service by clicking on the link here in the Zoom chat or in the Facebook live chat, and you'll find the words to the all the hymns there as well. And now, let us begin our service. We light our chalice with words from Alandria Williams. We arise from the pain. We arise from the grief. We arise from the limits people place on us and the limits we place on ourselves. We rise to be the children and the ancestors. We rise to be our true selves in relationship to our families and communities, recognizing our liberating and whole selves, honoring them and others as we strive for abundant communities, abundant lives, abundant relationships, and abundant values and cultural manifestations. With our centering words each week, we draw on the many sources of our living tradition. Today's words are from the Unitarian Universalist minister Audette Fulbright. She shared them right after we learned of the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg last week. Prayer for the morning. Did you rise this morning broken and hung over with weariness and pain and rage, tattered from waving too long in a brutal wind? Get up, child. Pull your bones upright. Gather your skin and muscle into a patch of sun. Draw breath deep into your lungs. You will need it, for another day calls to you. I know you ache. I know you wish the work were done and you, with everyone you have ever loved, were on a distant shore, safe and unafraid. But remember this, tired as you are not alone. Here and here also, there are others weeping and rising and gathering their courage. You belong to them, and they to you. And together, we will break through and bend the arc of justice all the way down into our lives. As we follow the sound of the bell into silence, let us allow ourselves to become centered and fully present in this time and space we have set aside to be together. Please join in as Bruce leads us in singing Hine Ma Tov. The words are in your order of service, and Bruce has some helpful words for you.
This hymn, Hine Ma Tov, or How Good It is a round. The piece is built with two short sections that each repeat. So when we get to the second section, where the melody goes a little bit higher in the voice, that would be the place where you could begin singing from the beginning of the hymn if you wish to do it as a round. And I will show you on the screen where that happens when I play through the melody for the first time. Then we'll sing the whole thing through together with repeats 3 times. And the piece does end with one last repetition of the first section. So this is Hine Ma Tov, or How Good It Is and How Pleasant.
I have taken care of that troublemaker Prometheus.
Hey, Bia, bring him over here.
Okay, Prometheus. There's where we're gonna chain you to the rock.
Ow! I'm coming, Bia! No need to be violent.
Well, actually, I am the god of violence.
I know. And your friend Kratos there is the god of might and force.
So naturally, we're gonna push you around.
Besides, you stole fire from Zeus. You've gotta expect to be treated roughly.
Well, sorry, Prometheus, old buddy. Now I've got to chain you to this rock.
I know. So an eagle can peck at my belly.
Zeus was really annoyed that you stole fire from my forge and gave it to those humans.
What else could I do? They were so defenseless that a possum ate one for lunch.
Fortunately, since you're a god, even though the eagle picks at your belly, it'll heal overnight.
Hurry up, let's get this done.
Yeah, let's get a move on, Hephaestus.
Now we can go. Bye, Prometheus.
So here I am, chained to a cliff in the Caucasus Mountains. As a god of foresight, I can see into the future. Eventually, I get rescued. Ow! Get off, you stupid bird!
Hi, Prometheus. Even though I'm the god of the oceans, I thought I'd visit you here in the mountains. How's it going?
Well, Oceanus, it's boring. Except, of course, when the eagle comes and pecks at my belly.
You know, I'm one of the older gods. I could go to Zeus and see if I can get your sentence lightened.
No, thanks. Even if I get in trouble with Zeus, it was worth it. Fire helped the humans learn new arts and sciences.
It sounds like you actually want to take responsibility for your actions.
I am proud of stealing fire for the humans, so I'll just have to wait here until Hercules comes along and frees me.
That should settle Prometheus for a long time.
I wanted to let you know that although we have some technical challenges to overcome in order to provide closed captioning to the live service, we do expect to be able to resume it next week. So thank you for your patience, and we hope we'll be able to do that every service thereafter. Now we turn our thoughts to the important events in our lives which we wish this community to share. If you have a joy or a sorrow you would like me to speak this morning, please send them to joyconcern@uucpa.org or post them here in the chat box provided by Zoom, and I will share them aloud. I have a few things to share while you are typing those things. First, a sorrow for our faith and the world. Alandria Williams, whose words I shared at our chalice lighting, died this week at the age of 41. For 2 highly influential years, E was the co-moderator of the Unitarian Universalist Association alongside Barb Grieve, and was a prominent leader in civil rights in Knoxville and nationally, as well as in our movement for many years. E will be greatly missed. I also want to share, give voice to what I know is in many of our hearts, grief for the family of Breonna Taylor, as they absorb the fact that no justice will be sought for the crime against her. We particularly hold in our prayers and our thoughts the people of Louisville, Kentucky, and others around the country who fear that their lives are held cheap. May the police be wise and calm in their momentous task of protecting the people's rights and safety. May all protesters call out the best in their communities. May any attempts at violence wither and fail. And may our congregation in Louisville, which is a crucible and a shelter in this time of crisis, remain safe and strong. Let us take a moment to hold these joys, these sorrows, rippling out not only from our own families, our own lives, but to those we care about, such as Teddy Stannis' teacher and her husband, to people far away, but very much in our hearts. Let us allow this silence to fill with our compassion and concern. Blessed be. And now let us join in as Bruce leads us in singing Return Again. Again, the words are in your order of service.
Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul.
These days in the Jewish tradition are known as the days of awe, the period beginning with the first candles of Rosh Hashanah and ending with the final service of Yom Kippur, those 10 days, the high holidays. This poem by Robin Becker is called In the Days of Awe, and I'm reading the section called Teshuvah. Turn from evil and do good, the psalmist says, turning round the turn. Turn the key, clock the turn, turn in time. Time to turn words into footsteps, to lead the young colt to the field, to turn from the old year, the old self. You are ready to turn and be healed. Only face, only begin.
Oh,
Today, the solemn holy day of Yom Kippur begins, when the sun sets, and Jewish people within and beyond our congregation take a day to reflect on the wrongs they have done and to resolve to do better. We speak often in this season of forgiveness. But today I want to speak about what comes first and what must be separate from any hope of forgiveness: atonement. The rabbis speculated that if there are purely righteous people, those who have never sinned, they will not be as honored by God as those who have sinned and then atoned. On the Olympic stand of human accomplishment, those of us who do wrong and then have the courage to face our own temptations and failings and overcome them, we occupy the top spot. We are the gold medalists. In fact, Judaism holds the humane expectation that we are all flawed, and we will have to do this again and again. Hence, Yom Kippur begins with a service called Kol Nidre, which is Aramaic for all vows. It borrows its language from a legal document. All vows made but not kept in the previous year are erased. They are null and void, and we have the chance to begin again. Yom Kippur literally means day of cleansing. We wash out our previous failures and start anew. Perhaps that is one reason that in some communities it is traditional to wear a white robe. The particular kind of white robe that people wear in Judaism is called a kittel on this day. The death of the old self, like the white shroud that people wear to be buried in Judaism. And for the new self, a clean sheet, a blank page, a fresh start. At the same time, as much as we know that we will get this fresh start each year, one must not say, oh, I can atone for this later, and then go ahead and do wrong. Atonement is for when we realize, as we are in the midst of an action or afterwards, that it was wrong, and we are sorry. It is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. Nor does it mean that we don't have to pay the penalty for something that we have done. On the contrary, we need to do everything we can to make reparations. Nor does it mean that we are necessarily forgiven. In my interpretation of the teachings, we should not, strictly speaking, even ask forgiveness. We can ask nothing of those that we have harmed. All we can do is atone sincerely. That is our contribution to the repair of the relationship that we have damaged through doing or saying something thoughtless or hurtful. And perhaps that atonement will be the foundation to which the other party or parties can add their stones. But we must let go of that as we enter into the spirit of teshuvah, as it is called in Hebrew, atonement. There's an emphasis in this process on change, the belief that we can always change, we can always improve. There is no sin so terrible that there is no way to do teshuvah for it. In that way, Judaism is deeply universalist. From the smallest sins, such as a sharp word spoken to someone in one's family in a distracted moment, to those with unimaginably vast and lasting repercussions, such as mass murder. We can always turn away from what we have done in the past and turn ourselves onto a better path for the future. It is never too late, which means, challengingly, that we also have no excuse. As the poet said, whom we heard before, Robin Becker, you are ready to turn and be healed. Only face, only begin. That is what the most common word for atonement in Hebrew, teshuvah, means, turning. Teshuvah is turning toward what we want to do, turning away from what we have done, turning toward loving just relationships with those around us and turning away from the temptations to do harm, turning toward the source of goodness. It is an inner process, yes, one of the heart and the mind, but it is above all an action. As a religious tradition that devotes an entire season to atonement, Judaism has explicit and compassionate guidance on how to go about it. And we can turn to no one better for such guidance than Moshe ben Maimon, known in Judaism by the acronym Rambam, and to the wider world as Maimonides. He was a philosopher, a doctor, and an astronomer in medieval Cordoba, Spain, as well as probably the preeminent commentator on the Torah and the rabbinic teachings in the history of Judaism. His teachings are a guide to this day, and his voluminous writings on Teshuvah spell out 4 elements. We must feel remorse for something we have done or something we are doing. We must stop doing it. We must resolve never to do it again. And we must express our remorse and our intention to change. There's also a great emphasis on relationships, change, and then the relationships that honest change makes possible. Teshuvah, turning, is about the relationship between ourselves and the source of the holy. For Rambam, Maimonides, this was, of course, God, by whatever name we call our truest guide, the deep waters from which our conscience springs. Atonement is about recognizing that we have lost sight of it. We've lost sight of that source. We've lost touch, and we've ceased to follow it in some manner. And it is about recommitting. Teshuvah is a deeply spiritual matter. But it's not only between our spirits and their source. It's also about the relationship between ourselves and others. It's very clear in Judaism that making teshuvah with God is not enough. And the hardest part of the Yom Kippur ritual, in my experience, is not the fasting or the self-examination or the standing for hours chanting the same prayers multiple times while one is longing for a cup of something caffeinated. The hardest part is expressing one's teshuvah, the fact that one has turned and wants to continue on a better path, to the people one has harmed. Judaism makes it clear it's all very well to talk to God, who conveniently, for most of us, never tells us how they, it, her, she, or he is thinking on the matter. That makes God a nice, safe sounding board. But to approach those we have harmed and say, I am sorry, I feel terrible, I did something wrong, I want to make it up to you, I want to make amends, and I want to promise that I will never make that mistake again. That is difficult. We apologize sincerely, we make whatever repairs are possible. That's how we move forward. And that is why it is a separate matter from asking for forgiveness. Teshuvah is not the moment to ask anything of the people we have harmed. If the harm is deep enough, we may not even be able to ask them for their ear. We take responsibility, we make amends, and we leave it there. That is our inner and outer work to do. Whether they forgive is up to them, and in the end, it has no impact on our process of change. If we are unforgiven and then we respond with bitterness about that, then, well, it appears that our teshuvah was transactional, not true teshuvah at all. And we must begin the process again. Now, I spoke of amends, of reparations. Some damage may be irreparable. If it is true, as it appears to be, that our nation is forcibly performing hysterectomies on unwilling or informed immigrants and refugees, how can we repair that damage? If using our tax dollars and empowered by our silence, the government is committing crimes of such magnitude, how can we make amends? We cannot give these women their uteruses back. When the police, paid by us to protect us, our bodies, our property, kill a mentally disabled man rather than respond with attention and compassion, what amends can we make? If they wake a couple from their sleep, sounding like a home invasion, and engage in a gun battle that kills the woman, how can we bring her back? How can we restore her to her family? There are limits to reparations. We cannot restore wholeness to these bodies. Some things that are broken cannot be mended. And those that are mended may always show the cracks. But we can ask, what would help heal those wounds? And then we can do it. And always, and most importantly, we can turn away from these wrongs and turn towards the right. We are flawed, we make mistakes, and sometimes they are devastating. But if we take responsibility, resolve to bring about change in our communities as well as in our hearts, and we do it, then next Yom Kippur, then we will be able to reflect and know that we have done better, that we have brought ourselves closer to that source of conscience, and we have brought our communities closer to what we long for them to be. We also have a relationship with people far away and unknown. Our actions and words affect people we do not know, but we can still change, we can still turn, we can make reparations. The work of our Dismantling White Supremacy group right here at UUCPA is about such a process of turning our lives, carrying out teshuvah, and turning our society, we hope, toward, to use another metaphor, a light that conscience raises like a torch for us to follow. For us to follow toward a kinder, more fair, more compassionate, more loving world. A world that we create by following that torch. We seek to turn our society, and we begin by turning ourselves, by turning our understanding and our actions. Yom Kippur is solemn. Yes, absolutely. It is a day of fasting. It is a day when all pleasures are set aside and our entire being is focused on difficult and important intentions. But it is also powered by an unstoppable joy, faith, love, peace, and hope. The joy that as long as we draw a breath, we can be better and do better than we have before. As Anne Frank famously wrote, how wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. The faith that what we do does matter and can change. It can change not only ourselves and our relationships with those we know best, but it can change the world. And the love that grows when we are honest and vulnerable about our teshuvah with those with whom we share our lives. The peace that flowers where reconciliation and reparation are sown. And finally, it is a celebration, an enactment, a realization of the hope that by looking honestly at the past, we can go with brighter promise into a better future. So may we do. May this day bring for you teshuvah, a turning, a transformation, a change. That As a part of the Free Church tradition, we accept no money from any governmental body, no church body, ecclesiastical authority, so that we may be free to govern ourselves. So I urge you to follow the link in the order of service. There is a QR code there and also a blue link so that you can give to the budget, the work of this congregation that we carry out freely, because we are the ones making the decisions and empowering all that we do here. If you're visiting us for the first time, you're our guest. Please just go on with a clear conscience. So now let us sing together. Bruce will lead us in singing Just as Long as I Have Breath. It is number 6 in the gray hymnal, and the words are here in your order of service.
I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Dear ones, these are times for Yom Kippur. These are days for teshuvah, for turning. These are hard times. But as we extinguish our chalice and take the flame with us, let me remind you again of the words of the Reverend Audette Fulbright. There are others weeping and rising and gathering their courage. You belong to them and they to you. We belong to one another. And together we will break through and bend the arc of justice all the way down into our lives. Blessings. Everyone, please stay after the benediction for our virtual coffee hour. You'll be invited to small group conversations in our breakout rooms, or you can stay here in the main room, and that's where I'm going to stay to discuss the service. If you have the latest version of Zoom, version 5.3.0, you will be able to freely move between breakout rooms on your own. The rooms will stay open for half an hour. Now, will you please unmute yourself and turn on your video, and we will say our benediction. Go out of the world
in
Peace.
of
Be of good courage. What is good.
Return
No one evil for evil.
Open the
Strengthen the faint-hearted.
weak
For the
Weak.
the suffering, rejoice in beauty, speak love, word, and deed.
honor
Honor all
All
beings.
all days. Amen.